Okay, today our topic is really juicy. Softening into yourself with a special guest, Mink, where your body exhales and your spirit returns. Welcome back to Ask the Oracle, the space where intuition meets embodiment. I'm your host, Suzy Cherub, and today we're softening into a conversation devoted to presence, nervous system repair, and the quiet medicine of being held. I'm joined by the luminous Mink, founder of Light Heart Therapies at Soul Tribe Wellness Hub on the south coast of New South Wales, land cared for by the Wurundjeri people of the Yuin Nation. With more than 2 decades in massage, holistic wellness, and trauma-informed care, Mink offers something very, very rare, a truly soft place to land. Today we explore her way of holding, her way of seeing, and the deep body wisdom that guides her amazing work. Take a breath, settle in, let's begin. Hi Mink, how are you, my love?
Hello, Suzy. Thank you for having me. God, that made me take a deep breath. I'm like, that's right. Remember, practice what you preach, me.
Oh, you certainly do that. Yeah, I love it when I do the intro because people go, "Oh, wow, is that really me?" I'm thinking, well, hopefully I got that right.
Thank you. That
Oh,
was that
good.
was very kind.
Oh, lovely. So let's dive deep. I want to start talking a little bit about just opening up space and talking about your origin. So, Mink, what first called you toward creating Light Heart Therapies, my love?
It was born out of my own wellness journey. And I honestly didn't believe maybe sort of even 20 years ago that I would own my own business doing what I do, connecting with other women and practicing holistic health. um, a series of events occurred in my life that drew me back to what we call returning home to self.
Yes.
So I was incredibly disconnected. I felt like in my life I was treading water. I didn't feel like I was living. I felt like I was merely existing. And I had to go through those experiences, and as a lot of us say, walk through the fire and feel the burn to know that perhaps the way that I was navigating my journey through this life wasn't the best or most constructive or nurturing or kind or loving um, way to go. So I had a moment, a major moment of I need to return to something that I felt intrinsically in myself already, which was spirit, but I had forgotten how to connect with her. So I have gone through a very, very intense process of educating myself, study, my own holistic journey, which is mental, emotional, physical, energetic, and spiritual. So I suppose a deep dive on self and doing a lot of shadow work. And out of that came Light Heart Therapies. And my experiences drew me, called me, and I believe what I'm doing is a calling. And I don't use those words lightly at all. I hold it with absolute grace. That I wanted to share my experiences and some of the information, I suppose, that I had to pass on to people about how to walk through this world with grace, with dignity, with love. And it's always returning to love. Um,
Yes.
so that's how it came about. And honestly, it was one of those things where I was actually lying in bed at night and the name just dropped.
It's a great name. I love the branding too. It's got that
Yeah.
beautiful kind of sacred geometry kind of feel about it, you know? Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's something that I'm really fascinated into is that connection to nature and The way that the Fibonacci sequence and the golden mean, and yes, all those sorts of things which would take us back to the basics of healing. Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. I had a similar situation myself, that beautiful dark night of the soul. I was in the corporate space working crazy 100-hour weeks, and I had a similar kind of health issue, like, or near death sounds dramatic, but that's what it was. And yeah, it kind of really woke me up. So totally resonate with the personal journey kind of unfolding into more of a calling, more of a professional journey. Love that.
Mm. But the,
Beautiful.
the interesting thing is, Susie, is that now I realize that if I hadn't have had those experiences, and at the time they seem incredibly confronting and soul destroying, and they almost break you.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, it did. I was quite broken. It had to occur for me personally. I'm not saying this is for everyone, to build back up something which was from a foundation of a place of the cornerstones of spirit and love. And that wouldn't have happened unless I'd had those experiences. When we talk about, oh, I wouldn't be the person I am today, well, it's very apt. I wouldn't.
That's true.
But I
Yeah.
also made a choice. I had a calling and a choice because it could have gone either way. Um, but I kept getting pulled towards spirit. So I'm incredibly grateful that I allowed my intuition and my own nature to let me go there, because for some people it does that, it can go very much in the other direction, and that's what we want to avoid.
I'm glad you mentioned choice, the gift of free will, making that choice, being guided by spirit. Now, you've got this really beautiful, rich ancestral lineage. How has your kind of lineage shaped the way you work, heal, and hold space? Because I just have to let the listeners know that Mink is on my beautiful, like, team. She's my healer. I go to her on a regular basis. So I experience this, and yeah, and I know that you just create a beautiful sacred space, but you also mentioned to me once your ancestral lineage, and I actually, some of your work almost feels that little bit shamanic. So do you want to just tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, so we have a saying in my family that on the women's side, you are your ancestor's daughter.
Love
And
it.
what that means is everything through our ancestors, whether it be epigenetic, spirit, through communication with ancestors, energetically plugging into the universe, what were dreamscapes, all that sort of thing. You are your ancestor's daughter means that you are holding everything that has been passed down to you. And we are then not, I wouldn't use the word that we have a responsibility, but I believe that that information and all of that incredible knowledge that's been passed down is then to be paid forward. So in my culture, a lot of the women in that line, which is Mongolian,
I love
both of
that.
my parents have Mongolian ancestry, which is but is stronger on my mother's side. There is definitely a shamanistic element in the practices that we do. Now, when I use the word shamanistic, I don't use that word lightly either. I don't, it's interesting too that you say I'm a healer. I don't believe that necessarily that I'm a healer. We believe in our culture that we're a conduit, or we can facilitate
Beautiful.
you to help heal yourself. Because no one
Love
can
that.
heal, but
Yeah.
with support, because you can't do it on your own. People like us can help to support and facilitate and guide and walk with you to help heal yourself.
Yes.
So, my lineage is incredibly important to me. I talk to my ancestors every day. They're incredibly annoying sometimes.
Oh,
Don't
I
do
hear
that,
you,
Mink. And I'm
sister.
like,
I
shut
totally
up.
know that.
I'm going to do it anyway.
That's
But,
it. I'm going to
but
bypass that. I'm going to
yeah,
I don't like that answer.
Yeah, don't listen to your intuition, Ming. Don't listen to thousands of years of epigenetic information. Just override that and turn it into a shit show. Good for you. Yeah. So my ancestry is incredibly important to me, and it was a very big element in me returning home to self because
Yes.
all the information is inside of us. It's all
Oh,
there.
without a doubt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in us on an energetic level. It's on us on a cellular level, neural. Our intuition is our primitive warning system through generations and generations and generations of survival. Oh, wow. So,
Yeah. It's a miracle,
yeah,
really.
so we believe that it is a miracle. And we do believe that we're here not just to advocate for ourselves, but to advocate for each other and to advocate for Mother Nature. So, yes, if we, as part of the relational web, are not necessarily okay, there's a resonance through that web.
Oh, there's a ripple
So,
effect. Yeah.
yeah. So, as part of the relational web, which we are all part of, we're all connected. I need to make sure that I'm okay so that the work I'm doing ethically supports a person in a proper manner um, to achieve wellness, I suppose you could say.
Yes. Yeah. Now, your healing space is like a sanctuary. And I know that you're at Soul Tribe Wellness Hub, which is where I go to yoga, where I go and see beautiful minglings, beautiful you for healings. So, how do you cultivate a space where people feel safe, softened, and truly seen? Because that's exactly what I experienced. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That is so intrinsically important, I think, to holistic health, is that you come into a space where you feel safe, where you feel seen, where you feel heard. Everybody has their own experience within this lifetime, and what it is, I suppose, that I love the most is the sharing of the human experience. I'm no more knowledgeable than the person who comes and sits and asks for guidance. I'm merely sharing information. It's what we used
Yes.
to do, our ancestors used to do, is we would sit in a women's circle and we would share. We would share information. We would share our stories. We would share, which fruits, which herbs, which season,
Yes.
what phase is the moon in, where are the tides. Now and I do follow all of those things, and I'm very attuned to what's going on seasonally.
Yes.
Way we've lived for millions of years, we've forgotten those traditions. But the matter of remembering. But it is making sure that when people come into this space, that they do feel held.
Yes.
Uh, often you'll go into a space and you're immediately on someone's table and you've barely exchanged words.
Oh, I was going to mention that because
Mm,
coming and seeing you, I love that we sit in those beautiful big cane chairs and there's this beautiful soulful chat at the start before you even jump up onto the table, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. And I just want to basically get just a little bit of an idea of the landscape of holistically what's going on for that person.
Yes. Yeah.
So, has there been any recent injuries, illnesses, surgeries? Has there been any major shifts in your life, changes? Is there anything that's perhaps you're seeing as an obstacle or a challenge at the moment, or you're in anxiety or stress or pain? And yeah, emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and energetically. And I
Yeah.
always those things. I know I'm
The
sort of repeating
multidimensional. Yeah.
myself. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's looking at the whole landscape holistically of what's going on for that person. So
Yeah.
then I can facilitate perhaps what that person requires, not only on my table, but if there's something more than I am able to provide, the beautiful thing about being at the Soul Tribe Yoga and Wellness Hub is there are several other businesses here which work in the same modalities or similar modalities.
Yes.
holistic psychologist, we have a life coach, we have a yoga therapist, we have an incredible yoga studio here, meditation, breath work. So if there's something that I can't provide, what's great about being in this space is I can refer people on. And
Oh, I love
all of the
that. Yeah.
women here who own their small businesses, we do work together. So
I
there
love the
is a
synergy of that.
collaborative, yeah.
Yeah. That
It's a really,
co-creative, collaborative. Yeah.
it's a very special space. And the fact that all the businesses are owned by women too is really beautiful.
Love that. Yeah. So good. Now, you've been working like in this beautiful field for about 2 decades. How has your understanding of healing or, whatever word we want to use, evolved? Yeah. Like, do you think it's evolved or do you think it's like
It's ever
more
evolving.
remembering? Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's ever evolving and
Ever
it's ever
evolving. Yeah.
unfurling. I am the eternal student. We all are. Yes, intrinsically, there's things that I instinctively know how to do and what to facilitate and provide, but I am also a learning being.
Yes.
And I hope that that will continue. And this is why I suppose you would call me a seeker. I'm
Yes.
always wanting more information. I'm wanting more knowledge. Um, and to process and digest and incorporate that then into the things that I do. So yeah, there's a basis there. There's a foundational structure of the work that I do, obviously with my energy work and my massage work, and light counseling. But I'm always learning. And like I said, I don't have all the answers. I would never profess to have all the answers. I can merely only speak from my own experience. And then perhaps there's that thing of that human connection, that space of being a human being and sharing that with somebody else, to go, oh my God, actually, I've experienced that as well. How did you traverse that? Or how did you navigate that? And what I do in my rooms is I never tell anybody what to do. It's merely a suggestion. We have
Yes.
to find our own path,
Own way. Yeah.
and that whatever that looks like for everybody is going to be different. But what I find is that when we share information or we share our story, that we
Yes.
can take bits from that and put it in our toolkit, our spiritual toolkit, I like to call it, and we can draw on those things. So yeah, and they don't need to be huge sweeping statements. I find that usually it's small increments of learning that turn into
Yes.
things
So
collectively.
much more. Like if you're feeling overwhelmed, the last thing you need is a big plan, right? So,
Oh, yeah, no.
that the stepping stones. I love the reciprocal energy that you talk about and the wisdom in the story and that we're on this beautiful, ever evolving journey. And I'm with you, I'm that spiritual academic. I never stop learning and growing. Someone said to me the other day, oh, Suzy, you're going to retire at 60. And I went, well, I am 60 going on 61. And I went, why would I retire when my work is my passion? It's my calling, Yeah, that was so good.
Yeah,
Such a great answer. Yeah.
there's a lot of reciprocity in what I do, in the sense that when people come into my space and talk with me, I learn so much from them.
Yeah.
It's an exchange. So, and I so appreciate that, and I'm so grateful from that. My clients teach me something every day, and it reminds you always to return to compassion and return to love and empathy. And um, I'm very proud and I'm very honored that people come into my space and trust me.
And you sense that as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like, like you have this kind of unique way of doing things. And what does the nervous system repair mean to you? And why is it central to your approach? Because often I come to you when I've been, like I've been in 2 weeks of launching programs and it's been wonderful but pretty full on. And when I come and see you, it's like a beautiful body sigh. It's like a beautiful deep breath. And I feel like, like my nervous system just feels calmer or something. It's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, nervous system repair, nervous system adjustment, reset, as I like to call it, um, has so many benefits. So, in this modern world that we live in a construct that isn't really natural for us. So, this, technology and engineering and the Industrial Revolution and all this crazy stuff, which keeps us very preoccupied and distracted, and I'm guilty of that too sometimes, is that and this is what we were talking about, remembering and forgetting. So as humans, it's a constant dance of remembering and forgetting,
Yes.
remembering
Yeah.
and that's that thing of returning to spirit and returning home, is we have to be reminded because it's very easy to forget. So, as we're walking through this world, our nervous system is generally, we have sympathetic and parasympathetic. I'm going to break it down really basically here.
Yeah.
So, sympathetic is where we generally stay most of the time. It's our primitive mind, our reptilian brain, our body scanning for danger, driving the car, we're in sympathetic, watching the kids, making sure they're safe, we're in sympathetic. At work, making sure we're punching in and punching out and getting our work done and filing it away, we're in sympathetic. So we need that. Obviously, we need that to survive and to walk through this world
To
with some
function.
sense of
Yeah.
awareness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And safety. But if we stay in that for too long or we
Yes.
overwork the nervous system to the point where we talk about our nerves being frayed, or we're in a state of hypervigilance and anxiety for extended periods of time,
Yeah.
it has negative health repercussions on the body. So our nervous system is basically talking to the rest of our body. If we're in a state of anxiety, it's going to affect us on a cellular level. Yeah, that's when
Yes.
we start to get digestive issues, broken or poor sleep. We're not thinking clearly, brain fog. And look, and when the nervous system talks to the body and it's, basically sending out signals, that goes to everything within this meat suit that we're wearing. So if we're sending signals of that
Yeah.
we're constantly in a state of fight and flight and anxiety,
Yes. Yeah.
it wears the system down and down to a cellular level. And that suppresses our immune system, which means
Yeah.
we're more prone to illness, we're more prone
Yeah.
to fatigue, all of those sorts of things. So, what we want to try and do on a daily basis, and sometimes we need a major reset, is go into parasympathetic to give our body a break. So, how do we do that? There's many ways of doing it, but why I do what I do and the methodology of being on the table and doing massage and energy work is touch from even an ancient perspective is incredibly healing. It's
Yes.
soothing, it's nurturing.
Yes.
The body feels safe. You feel safe. It
Yes.
allows the nervous system to settle. So we come out of hypervigilance and we go into a status of peace, inner peace.
Mm. Hmm.
When we do that, it's like, if I can use an analogy, it's like turning off a modern analogy, turning off a computer and the motor stops and the static stops, the
Yes.
crackling,
Great
whirring, it
analogy. Yeah.
cools down, it
Yeah.
stops and pauses for a while. It just cools down and takes a breath. And then once it's settled and it feels like everything's sort of at a really nice place, we can then reboot it back on. We can turn it back on, but hopefully in the turning back on and going back into sympathetic, we're taking some of that parasympathetic behavior with us, or intuition. So it's the balance of the two. So as
Yes.
we're walking through our day, we remember what that feels like and we try and return to it a little bit, whether that be through breath, whether it be through gratitude, mindfulness, a nutritious meal. Um, yeah, it's
Walk on the
reminding us to,
beach, back to nature. Yeah,
that's it, immerse nature
yeah,
bathing, grounding.
yes,
So we're trying to just find the things that are going to support that parasympathetic nature within us so we're not exhausting ourselves to the point
yes. And
of
it's so
illness.
important, don't you reckon, Ming? Because at the moment, like, we're just always on, like we're on our devices, we're on, and everything's kind of, yeah, it's just kind of, you feel like bombarded at times. And then you're getting that kind of that hit as well. Like it's quite addictive as well. I think it's so important to really look after your nervous system. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That you're talking about that hit. That's right. We can become attuned to getting dopamine hits from things that aren't necessarily conducive to our whole health.
It's like
Um,
fake happiness, I call it.
yeah, it's masquerading as something on a chemical level that feels good to us, but really, um, from a health perspective, it's a quick hit.
Yeah.
It's something then that we start chasing, and we get just
Yes.
once again we get distracted and we end up in sympathetic because we wanted that dopamine hit again. We want to
Yeah.
try not to get addicted to that dopamine hit and return to a state of inner peace, inner quiet.
Beautiful. Love that. Now you do this gorgeous blend of like body work, light therapy, even sound therapy as well, I noticed, and this beautiful intuitive counseling into this really cohesive experience. And I know it's probably going to be hard to describe because I know that you do things in a very instinctive way, but can you just explain to the listeners how you kind of merge these beautiful modalities into the most amazing healing session? Yeah.
Yeah, and look, it's really important to me that when people come into my space that I explain to them what they're going to experience or what they may feel, and what that's going to look like. And like I said, you often walk into a massage space and you're immediately on the table and, oh, I'm a bit sore here, and I'm a bit whatever here. And that's the end of the conversation. Often, we say there's a saying, the body keeps score. So when something is manifesting itself as a discomfort or an ailment in the body, the reason I approach things holistically is perhaps it may be coming from something that's not physical. It may be manifesting
Exactly.
something emotional.
Yes.
So, yeah, so using all of these different techniques, using all of these different ways of understanding the person that's seated in front of me, or trying to get a bit of a rundown of sort of where they're at and a little bit of their history and what's going on, allows me then to, yes, intuitively facilitate what that person may need. So, when they're on the table, I work from the tip of the head to the bottom of the toes, not necessarily in that order. I work on the meridian system of the body, but also the chakras. And yes, I do
Yes.
work intuitively at times, because if I feel there's somewhere I need to stay for longer, I will.
Yes.
Yeah, and the use of sound, the use of um, touch, the use of um,
Fragrance, I noticed as well.
yeah, and that's the thing, is that it's a very sensory experience.
Yes.
And there's a reason for that as well, is that often when we're on the table, our head wants to wander off into, thinking about what's on the shopping list and
Yes,
ruminating
exactly.
over what's happened in the past.
Yeah.
There's a technique in which I use that distracts the brain from going too much into rumination and overthinking. And it's the use of heat, it's the use of texture, it's the
Yeah.
use of sound, and it's a method called zigzagging.
Oh,
And
wow.
what
That makes so much sense.
Yeah, and so what zigzagging does is, okay, so we're in status of massage, but our head's starting to wander. Then I will introduce, say, yes, a smell, or I will introduce hot towels. So what that does is, it's not tricking, but it's just guiding their head back to the present. It's guiding you and your mind back to absolutely being in the space exactly at that time.
And from
And
an
it pulls
enjoyment
us away
perspective,
from rumination.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. From an
So,
enjoyment perspective too, Mink, I noticed that when you're more present, it's more sensory, it's more enjoyable than going off into la la land, if that makes sense. Sorry to
yeah.
interrupt you, hon, but
No,
yeah, yeah,
no. So there's a word in Sanskrit that we use in yoga as well, and it's called
yeah,
nidra. And nidra is the space in between consciousness and subconsciousness.
beautiful.
And ultimately, what we're trying to achieve on the table is that beautiful in between space.
Yes,
Nidra. So I
that
talk to people,
stillness.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
talk to people about that and invite them if they feel like they're wandering off into what's on the shopping list is return to breath, return to the moment.
yes.
But look, like we say, there's no such thing as a bad meditation, even when it's the clapping monkey. Our,
Yeah.
our body still knows and our nervous system still knows that we're trying to go to a peaceful place. So there's still
Yeah,
methods, even if our mind is running at a million miles an hour.
I love that beautiful softening. So let's talk about the client journey for a moment. So, what shifts do you witness when someone finally allows themselves to soften?
It can be profound for
Yes.
some, and I'm very aware of that. And I also make sure that I leave plenty of time at the end of the session for people to come back into this space. And if they need to discuss what they may have experienced on the table or something that may have come up for them, can be um, unpacked. For
Yeah.
some people, it's merely just a relaxation and time out from their busy schedule. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be profound. So there's a
Yeah.
whole spectrum of responses, reactions, and feelings. And it's different every time for the same person. So, because we're
Yes.
different every day, different things happen every day. So, my regular clients will often say, "Oh, God, that was really different today because something else is going on in their life, or hormonally they're feeling different, or they didn't get much sleep last night, or they are ruminating on an issue in their life." So, it's different for everyone every time. But the thing that does stay the same is the nervous system reset. Now, when we reset the nervous system, depending on where that person is at when they walk into this space, of course, it's going to have a different outcome. So, yeah, it's making sure also before they get on the table that I make it very clear that if there's something that feels uncomfortable, they're not feeling quite right, that they
Yes.
verbalize that. And as you know, Susie, I have two mantras in my space. The first one is we do not say sorry for having any sort of human experience in this room.
Yeah, I love that. You've said that to
So,
me a couple of times, especially early on.
yeah,
Yeah.
as women, we walk through the world. We've conditioned to placate and appease. It's part
Yes.
of what
Apologize
the
for our
structure.
presence almost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. So
Yeah.
when you come into my space, I do not want you to say sorry for anything. If you require a tissue, you're too hot, you're too cold, you get emotional, you start crying, which can happen because it's
Yes.
releasing something. It's so
Yeah.
normal, it's so
It's a
healthy.
good release. Yeah.
And often people feel that they need to apologize for that. So, following on from that, my second mantra is
Yeah.
politeness.
Yeah.
You do not have to placate and appease me. No way.
Yeah. I
God,
love that
no.
realness about you. Yeah.
No, you have the experience you need to have, and I will try and support you as best as I can to make sure that you feel okay and you feel that this is a constructive and enjoyable experience. I don't want
Yeah.
anyone
Yeah.
leaving this space feeling suddenly cracked open and really vulnerable.
No,
That's
it doesn't
unethical
happen.
and
Yeah.
irresponsible.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm very aware of what experience a person has in this.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've answered this, pretty thoroughly, but you might want to add something to it. So, how do you support clients who arrive overwhelmed, burnt out, or just disconnected from their beautiful physical body temple, like their bodies? What happens there?
Because because I've become so attuned to reading people and so attuned to sensing energy when it comes into a space. Um, I'm very mindful that when someone comes in, and you can tell straight away, the tone of their voice, the speed of their sentences, their body language, the way they're holding themselves, the way they sit in the chair. And please, I don't want people to think that I'm like psychoanalyzing them as soon as they walk through the door. I'm
No.
merely just trying to get a sense of, gosh, this person's coming with a lot of anxiety and a lot of tension. And what I would like to do is make sure that we can sort of settle that a bit before they get on the table.
Yeah.
So often someone will come in here and as soon as they sit down in the chair, they burst into tears.
Yeah.
They're so wound
Yeah.
up and suddenly they've taken time to advocate for themselves and they sit down in this beautiful space and it's conducive to letting go. People feel that they can take a breath when they come in here, and it's
Yeah. There's no
purposely made
performance.
that
It's
way.
just, yeah,
Yeah, with
they
all
can
the
just be,
artwork.
not do. Yeah.
And if that happens, we just take our time. Let's just take our time, return to breath, close our eyes, try and settle the body, feel, and I'll talk them through a quick body scan, letting go, unclenching the jaw, dropping our
Yeah.
shoulders,
Yes.
feeling our gut settle down,
As
letting
she
our
drops her shoulders.
letting our belly out like a little Buddha belly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really important that you are aware and perceptive to people's requirements as soon as they walk through that door. So
Yeah.
that's where
I think
that
this is going to be really
treatment
good
the
for a lot of
treatment starts
practitioners out
even
there.
before
Yeah.
you're on the table. The treatment
Yeah.
starts as soon as you walk through my door.
Yes. Yeah. Love that. Now, trauma-informed care, and it sounds obvious, but a lot of people probably don't fully understand what that means. So, what does trauma-informed practice look like in your beautiful sessions, my love? Yeah.
So, yeah, so a lot of what we've discussed is, obviously, like I said, getting a holistic landscape or picture and
Yes.
what's going on
The
for a
big picture. Yeah.
so, but also I need to come from a place of ethics and responsibility to somebody's well-being. Now, on the rare occasion that somebody has come in here and I feel that my modality is probably not been going to be beneficial for them or appropriate, I will refer them on to someone who is more qualified, perhaps, to deal with what's going on in their life. So that could
Brilliant.
be
Yeah.
like they've had extreme trauma,
Yeah.
or they've had a really horrific experience that requires a different sort of support.
Yes.
So that's why that conversation in the beginning, and I don't need people to tell me their inner, deepest, most private things. It's just getting a little bit of an idea of the overall picture of what's going on for them. And you can pretty quickly ascertain whether or not this is going to be beneficial for them or not. I don't expect people to see something through if they go, oh, I don't know if this is right for me. Or I feel that they're so fragile, they're in such a fragile state. I irresponsibly put them on the table and they feel really vulnerable and
I
exposed.
totally agree with that. I do the exact same thing.
I
Yeah.
won't continue with the session.
Yep.
Um,
It's very ethical. It's very responsible. Um, yeah. I think, yeah, how wonderful. Yeah. Love it. Now, I've noticed this is really interesting because you always give me this really good tip towards the end of the session that I always take away. So how do you help clients feel empowered and in charge of their own healing process? Because I love empowerment and I love, some of the suggestions you make that, just a little tip here and there, like, yeah, can you kind of talk to us about that?
Yeah. People often come here because they are wanting to make some changes. They
Yeah.
are here because they're advocating for their own health.
Yes.
They're advocating for their spiritual, mental, emotional, energetic wellness. So, of course, there are things that I can suggest which can facilitate a person to leave this space and take those things with them, put them in their toolkit, and draw on them
Yeah.
when they need to. And that's going to be
Hmm.
very specific to every single person, but there are some basic things that we can all do on a day-to-day basis that support us um, in that way. So we talk about holistic practice. Well, the first thing I say to people is, how are we speaking to ourselves? What's the
Yes.
conversation that's going on in our head?
Powerful. Hmm.
Is it from fear or is it from love? Is it
Yeah.
self-deprecating and flagellating and critical? Or
Yeah.
is it, oh, okay, that's interesting, that feeling's coming up or that experience is happening. How do I investigate that and nurture that?
Yeah.
So it's learning to pause a lot. Pause is very important in our life. We often just bombard through everything, or we suppress or compartmentalize, and it's a survival mechanism. But allowing ourselves enough space and time to process things, to return to mindfulness, to return to breath, to pause, to be kind to self. When we find ourselves going into self deprecation or negative criticism, it's like, oh, hang on, where's that coming from? Stop. Why am I doing that? I wouldn't speak to a child that way. Why am I speaking to myself that way? And I often say to people, um, think of yourself as a small child. And I do this
Yes.
on a regular basis because I have a photograph of myself on an altar, my own altar at home, of me when I was 4 years old. And
Yeah.
she,
Beautiful.
very happy, light-hearted child. And it's the first thing I see in the morning and the last thing I see at night, because I want to be responsible for making sure that that little girl, that little Mink, is feeling seen. She's feeling heard. She's feeling held. So, some of the ways in which I used to speak to myself, I don't do it anymore. I will occasionally go into, oh, Mink, for fuck's sake. But there's not that I don't entertain that negative self-talk anymore.
Yeah.
I think to myself, how would I address that 4-year-old girl? I wouldn't speak to her and go, "Are you fucking idiot?
No.
Oh, you
Well,
dumb bitch."
you wouldn't starve
You're so
her. You
you would
wouldn't,
not,
yeah.
yeah,
You
you would
wouldn't
not.
like, there'd be no punishing exercise. There'd be no, you wouldn't like, tell her she's hopeless or, yeah,
Absolutely
exactly. It's
not.
such a great
So
reminder. I love that.
it
What a great tip.
starts, it starts there. It starts there. And then from there, there's things that we can do on a day-to-day basis, which are small increments of that we can include or incorporate into our life. And like I said, they don't need to be these huge sweeping statements of change.
Yes.
Somebody said to me the other
Well,
day
it's
in my room,
unachievable quite often, isn't it? It's
yeah,
like, too
it's a
big.
fruitless investment. It's unrealistic,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
overwhelming.
It's
And so
sabotage, really. Yeah.
you're setting yourself up for failure because you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
want to have this, huge momentous spiritual shift. It doesn't work that way. You know,
No.
someone said to me the other day, oh, if I don't have a spiritual awakening soon, I'm going to be really angry. And I started laughing, and I said, okay, can we just unpack that? Because
Yeah, let's just go back and have a look at that.
that's like trying to grab smoke. That's
Yeah,
not, So,
I know.
and no, and I understand where they're coming from. It's sort of that inner frustration of, I want to have inner calm and I want to have inner peace. But
Yeah,
it's small practices that we can do.
exactly.
So grounding, going and standing on beautiful wet grass first thing in the morning is something that I do in my garden,
Yes,
nature in bare feet. Walking by the ocean, getting that beautiful ionized air into my body.
yes. Makes such a
Um,
difference. Even if you try and talk yourself out of it too, Mink, like yesterday, like I'd been at doing readings all day and it was like, oh, I really should go and walk Pablo, my sausage dog, on the beach. Oh, I really don't want to be doing that. Oh, it's a nice day. No, Suze, put him in the car, go and do it. When I came back, I felt so centered, like so much more relaxed. Like it was just, I know. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of the good stuff, I reckon. Yeah.
Pablo the Soso. I love
Pablo the Soso. And I know
Pablo
you've got a cute little
the Soso.
puppy too, haven't you?
Yeah, so they're our little sentient guides.
They
They
are.
get us out of the house. Was yeah, we talk about there's this we use the expression "go and clear your head," and that's exactly what being in nature does. Nature bathing allows us to settle and to clear and to clarify. And yeah, you're right. We try and override that thing of, oh, I should get myself to the beach because we know how beneficial it is being in nature. It's our
Yes.
normal, it's such a normal place for us to be, um, ancestrally and as human beings. And the thing is, and I often say, and there's this fantastic quote that I use all the time, is that your intuition tells you the truth. Everything after that is a negotiation. So your gut has already told you what you need. It's already told you the truth. It's already let you know what is required for you to feel better, to be in a better place. And then you start going up here into, the mind away from your
Yeah.
intuition and your intrinsic knowledge. And you start to bargain with yourself
The inner
and
saboteur,
rationalize
the
and ruminate.
negotiator. Yeah.
Yeah, and over intellectualize and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And you know the truth. It's already told you. So, it's a built-in system that we have that's there for our benefit. So we must listen to it. And I say to people with the going on the thing of intuition, is if you have an inkling, even a slight flutter that feels like a butterfly wing that makes your body go, no,
Yeah.
ladies, it's a fuck no.
Oh,
You know,
yes,
your
absolutely.
intuition is your built-in primitive warning system, and it's
Exactly.
there for a reason over
Yes.
thousands of years of evolution. If
Yes.
it's a
Don't
no, it's a
overthink
fuck
it.
no.
Yeah. It's a
I
no.
need that. I need that on a t-shirt.
I think that's so fabulous. I love that so much. Look, today has been incredibly inspiring and so wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on. I'd like to pull a card for you before we finish up. And the card is so perfect. It literally jumped out of the Moon Temple Oracle deck, my latest deck. And
Awesome.
it's,
Moon is my birth planet.
oh, I love that. And this is beautiful Inanna, goddess of the moon. And it's the temple card, which is really beautiful. And you've got this beautiful full moon. You've got Goddess Inanna here, the two beautiful lions, which represent, the divine masculine underneath here. And the words of the card are really beautiful. My soul is ready to live the life of my dreams. Open, ask, listen. It is time to dedicate yourself to spiritual growth, purification, and transformation. Walk the walk and talk the talk. Align your intentions, decisions, and actions to your core values and highest visions for your life. Your top priorities need to be in alignment with your desired outcome. Consciously harmonize your sphere and overcome any obstacle by removing the things that stand in your way. And there's a lot more to it, but I just felt this beautiful lunar goddess with her luminescent, gorgeous,
Spot on.
vibrant, open wings, and you've got the ancient Temple of Babylon below her. And it's just such a beautiful card, and it reminded me of you, Mink. Thank you,
Oh,
my love.
spot on, Susie. Thank you. That's fantastic because everything that you just said then and everything that that card represents moving into 2026 is sort of like my manifesto. So moving into the year of the fire horse, that's
Yes,
everything that I have been mulling over in my head. Yeah, and allowing to come to me gently and gracefully. So thank you. It's spot
love
on.
that.
Mm.
Beautiful. Thank you. So thank you for joining us on this gentle heart opening conversation. Mink, your presence is a balm. Your work reminds us that healing doesn't have to be loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's the quietest moments that bring us home. In today's episode, if today's episode stirred something within you, or if your body is whispering for rest, reconnection, or renewal, consider getting yourself a session with Mink at Light Heart Therapies. Until next time, may you soften where you can, breathe deeply, and honour the wisdom of your own inner oracle. With love, Suzy and Mink.